right, welcome in, adventurers. Well met. It is Wednesday night. Tavern Talks with the Shifty Boar. With me, the Master of Dungeons, here at twitch.tv/the Master of Dungeons. Tonight, we're going to continue our series of our reactions and reading for the first time the playtest material for One D&D. Last week, we stopped off here on page 12. We just reviewed the idea of the divine spark. We're looking at the turning undead, which was the next one. Again, I have not even read through these after when we were finished up with the stream last week. I shut the PDF down so I wouldn't read forward on any of this. And again, I haven't gone through to check out the results of the surveys yet, but obviously playtest 6 had some of the changes from the earlier playtest material. If you want to download these, you can go to our Discord server, community Discord server, Master of Dungeons community Discord below us here on Twitch, and click on the About Us section. There's a Discord panel. You can join there where you can download all of this, and we have that up on our Discord server for everyone. You can also go to the Wizards website and for D&D, and of course D&D Beyond has the PDFs as well. Check them out. In order to playtest them, you use the normal 5th edition's Player's Handbook from 2014 with the noted changes here in this PDF document. Any changes they've made have been updated with like a little change log and a glossary at the end to clarify some of these like underlined abilities. So let's get right back into it. Turn undead. This is interesting because the first thing I noticed when I looked up is that these creatures, when you turn undead in normal 5th edition as it is now, the undead turn, and on their turn they use as much movement as possible to get away from you. This changes in this and in 1 D&D it looks like to if the creatures fail their save, they're frightened, not only frightened, but they're also incapacitated. Most of the time incapacitated. Of course, we'll check the glossary when we get down to it eventually, because we're only on page 12, and there are 77 pages in this document, so we'll probably be doing some of it tonight and next week as well. But yeah, so instead of them having to run from you now, they're frightened and they're incapacitated for 1 minute. The effect still ends early if the creature takes damage, so if anyone attacks it, it also ends early if you become incapacitated or you die. Of course, your subclass as normal. Looks like they're going to have life domain, light domain, trigger domain, and war domain in here. I wonder if they go through all 4 of those. They did go through a number of the bard changes, like the bard of dance, the college of dance, college of glamour, etc. So we'll check those out. Ability score improvement feat. Another feat of your choice, smite undead. Alright, so when you turn undead, and I like they're doing that instead of the destroy undead. I mean, they might have a destroy undead ability later on, but the destroy undead ability in 5th edition, we were just talking about this with some of my players that I ran for over the weekend for virtual D&D, that the destroy undead feature of the turn undead was just not powerful enough. By the time you got up to the power where you were actually able to use it and such like that, you were facing undead of CR much higher than what your destroy undead would destroy. So very rarely would that come into play. So smite undead looks like it's taking that place. Let's see here. Check some stuff over here. Yeah, it looks like so when you use your turn undead, you roll a number of d8s equal to your wisdom modifier, and add those rolls together, and each undead that fails its saving throw against the use of turn undead takes radiant damage equal to the roll's total. And it does not end the turn effect, which is great. That's awesome, so you can actually do damage. Usually when you're at 5th level, you've probably got depending on how your DM has you do your stats. If you're doing point buy, I generally base everything off of point buy since it's a simple, easy way to look at it. By the time you get to 5th level as a cleric, you most likely have at least an 18 which will give you 4 die 8 to roll. It's possible to have a 20 at level 5 still, with especially with Tasha's and your custom lineages. So you could have up to 5d8 that you could roll when you turn undead. That's pretty cool. Blessed Strikes. Divine Power infuses you in battle. You gain one of the following options of your choice. Once in each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack with a weapon, you can cause the target to take an extra 1d8 necrotic or radiant, your choice. Potent spellcasting. You add your wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any divine cantrip. If you get either option from another source, you can only use the option you choose for this feature. Another ability score improvement. Commune. In the past, you've reached the divine source of your power through prayer. Now you can also have brief conversations. You always have the commune spell prepared. And then this, they were mentioning this, I wanted to check this out. It says you can call on your divine intervention. The way it is in 5th edition, you can ask your deity to help you out on your behalf. The DM determines what it is, but it only happens if you roll a percentile dice, or perks, whatever, perk dice, whatever you want to call it, D100. And if you roll your level or less, your deity will intervene. But now it says, as a magic action, choose any divine spell of 5th level or lower that doesn't require reaction to cast. As part of the same action, you cast that spell without expending a spell slot or needing material components. Ooh, that's really cool. Especially for something that's 5th level or lower that requires you to have something that it's a gold piece value that gets consumed. Oh, that's really nice. Like Raise Dead. Revivify, something like that. Then you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Okay. Bonus score improvement. Improved Blessed Strikes, which is their 7th level ability. So your strike increases to 2d8, then it's potent spellcasting. When you cast a divine cantrip and deal damage to a creature with it, you can give vitality to yourself or another creature within 60 feet of yourself, creating a number of temporary hit points equal to twice your wisdom modifier. That's cool. It'd be nicer. I'm just reading that again. These are just my initial reactions to seeing these for the first time. I think it would be cool for potent spellcasting that even if they make a save against your cantrip, like break it up to where you do extra damage with your cantrip, and if they save against your cantrip, they still take half damage, as cantrips are usually all or none. Ability score improvement 16th, subclass feature at 17th. Another ability score improvement at 19th. They still kept the divine intervention. Oops, sorry, my contact is messing up. Apologies for that. They changed the capstones of most of the classes down to 18th level, but it looks like they're going to keep this and change greater divine intervention. You ever call on even more powerful divine intervention? When you use your divine intervention feature, you can choose Wish when you select a spell. If you do so, you can't use divine intervention again until you finish 2 die 4 long rests. When you cast Wish with this feature, you are immune to the stress caused by using Wish to do something other than casting a spell. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's basically initially what divine intervention does, except that you get to, very similar, like you can call down to, I think I used divine intervention with my 20th level cleric one time to remove the reflective carapace of a Tarask that we were fighting. But yeah, Wish does something very similar. Alright, subclasses here. Life Domain are obviously focused on healing. Let's see what the updates are. Prayer of Healing has been replaced by Aid. Yeah, they really need to, I hope they update Prayer of Healing. Prayer of Healing is okay, but it takes 10 minutes to cast, and there are so many other spells that are more efficient at the healing than your Prayer of Healing. Until they nerfed it, of course. Healing Spirit was great. I think that if they would have taken the Healing Spirit and changed that, tweaked it a little bit round, or made Prayer of Healing more like that, it's been replaced by Aid. Disciple of Life is not clear. Its extra hit points are based on the spell slot expended. Preserve Life is designed to give more flexibility in how you protect yourself and others. Healing spells are almost all abjuration spells. So funny too, because most healing spells in older editions were considered necrotic spells. Blessed Healer is now clear that its extra hit points are based on the spell slot expended. Divine Strike has been replaced by Blessed Strikes in the base class. Supreme Healing now applies to Channel Divinity as well to spells. Okay. So third level you choose, and you're choosing your domain now at third level, which I believe it was first level? Aid, Bless, Cure Wounds, Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, Revivify, Or of Life, Death Ward, Greater Restoration, Mass Cure Wounds. Alright, third level. Your healing spells are empowered by life itself. When a spell you cast with the spell slot restores hit points to a creature, that creature regains additional hit points on the turn you cast the spell. Additional hit points equal 2 plus the spell slot's level. On the turn you cast the spell, that prevents people from being able to use the extra healing there from this on like casting good berries or something like that. Which I never saw a problem in people gaining 4 hit points from a good berry instead of 1. Preserve Life. As part of casting a prepared abjuration spell from the Divine Spell list, you gain expended uses of Channel Divinity to create a spell slot to use for the casting. So you can sacrifice your uses of Channel Divinity to create a spell slot to use to cast the spell. I don't know. That's a little bit overly complicated, especially since they're always talking about how they want these things to be simplified and not as difficult for the players to understand. Let me adjust my microphone volume here. It doesn't look like my microphone is up as much as it should be. Check, 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 check. There we go. It's a little bit louder. That's nice. All right, there we go. All right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Preserve Life, especially the wording and how it is. It's, I understand how it is, but at the same time, newer players are going to be looking at it like, what? Not really understanding, especially if you don't get the whole concept of what exactly Channel Divinity is, what your spell lists are, how many spell slots you have, all of that. Plus, it only, like, your Channel Divinity is, you can only have so many that you'd only be able to use spell slots for really low-level spells. Blessed Healer. The healing spells you cast on others heal you as well. Immediately after you cast a spell with a spell slot that restores hit points to one creature other than you, you regain hit points equal to 2 plus the spell slot's level. It's very similar to what it used to be. Are we missing a page here? I thought they were supposed to get something at 10th level as well. Did not say that there. No, that's your divine intervention. Okay. So it jumps from 6th to 17th level before you get any other bonus for the spell slot. Okay. Or for your subclass. When you would normally roll 1 or more dice to restore hit points to a creature, don't roll those dice for the healing state. Use the highest number possible. Yeah. All right. Interesting. Not really, like I said, I'm not a fan of the wording of or the purpose of the Preserved Life. I believe that that was a higher level feature that used to allow you to restore a number of hit points to creatures that were really low, but you couldn't heal them up over half of their, or 50% of their max hit points. Something in that type of healing would be better than this, the way that this is worded. All right, light domain. Not going to lie, haven't played a light domain character, priest cleric. Haven't really had any players that really play light domain either, so this is going to be all new to me. I'm kind of going to be, I'm not sure if that was better or different than what it was. Use the feature on themselves. Feeling light, new 6th level feature, potent spellcasting, Chrono of Light. Alright. Domain spells for the light cleric. Light domain. Burning hands, fairy fire. Okay, so instead of just giving 2 like they do, well, I guess that is 4 there. I kind of missed over that. Used to only be 2, but now they're giving them 4, which is interesting. So you always have Burning Hands, Fairy Fire, Moonbeam, and See Invisible prepared. They don't count against the number of spell slots that you have for your spells that you can prepare a day. Daylight Fireball, Arcane Eye, Wall of Fire, Flame Strike, and Scrying. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that could be put in here, especially with the Light Domain. Light Domain isn't Fire Domain. And these having Fire here and Fire here and Fire here. Interesting. When a creature you see can 30 feet makes an attack roll, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll, causing light to flare before the attacker before it hits or misses. Interesting. Radiance of the Dawn is a magic action. Play your holy symbol and expend use of your channel divinity so you emit sunlight in a 30-foot radius sphere centered on yourself. Any magical darkness, such as that created by the darkness spell, and the sphere is dispelled. Now, they're going to have to change the darkness spell then, because the darkness spell generally cannot be dispelled by anything that's less than a 3rd level or higher spell. And you're giving them the ability to get rid of a darkness spell at 3rd level, which can only use 2nd level spells. You wouldn't normally be able to get rid of a darkness spell until you're 5th level, the way it is in 5th edition right now. So it's interesting. We'll see how it works out. Additionally, so in addition to being able to cancel the darkness, each creature of your choice in the sphere must make a Constitution saving throw, taking radiant damage equal to 2d10 plus your cleric level. Oh my goodness. Whew. That is a potent 3rd level ability. What? So 6th level Revealing Light, as a bonus action, you can present your holy symbol and cast See Invisibility without expending a spell slot. And when you cast it in this way, your allies also gain the benefit of the spell while you're within 10 feet of you. Until the spell ends, you emit bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet. You can end the spell early as a bonus action. I don't like that they put that in there, because unless they're changing that in 5.5 D&D, whatever you want to call it, 1 D&D, sorry, you could always end your spell without any action whatsoever. You could end a spell. So putting this wording in there is kind of, unless they're changing that rule, it's kind of redundant. Or pointless, I should say, not redundant. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. 17th level Chrono of Light. As a magic action, you cause yourself to emit an orb of sunlight that lasts for 1 minute until you dismiss it. No action required. See, that's what I was saying, the same type of thing with this. This is inconsistent wording. As we mentioned last week in the stream, we were talking about how they want 5th edition to be more streamlined, and that's what some of these updates are, trying to make things a little bit easier, but then again, at the same time, they're not, at least in the playtest material, their wording is different from different spots, where they could be the language could be simplified and streamlined. Like, there's no reason why you'd have to use in this ability as a bonus action, and then dismissing this one requiring no action. You emit bright light for 60-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet. Your enemies in the bright light have disadvantage on saving throws against your radiance of the dawn. And any spell... and any spell that deals fire or radiant damage. See, that's the whole fire thing. I would just be looking at radiance. I wouldn't be looking at fire if they're light. Because then you couldn't do a flame domain later or fire domain later on, because I don't know. All right, fair enough. On to the trickery domain. Now I do have a player that plays with me regularly at the virtual D&D weekends that does play a trickery domain cleric. They do have an ability with their invoke duplicity. It's going to be interesting to look at that and see how they've changed that around a little bit, because the interaction with the invoke duplicity and using like spiritual weapons and things of that nature are very, very weird how they interact in 5th edition. So we're going to take a look through here. Can't use it on themselves. Interesting, so it looks like they made it more powerful. It's poorly rated and now has entirely new functionality. Alright. So domain spells: charm, person, disguise self, visibility, blast without trace. Hypnotic pattern, not detection, confusion, dimension, door, hold monster, and mislead. Okay. Blessing of the Trickster. As an action, you can choose yourself or a willing creature within 30 feet of yourself to gain advantage on dexterity stealth checks. This blessing lasts for 1 hour until you use this feature again. It's very similar to what it was. I've seen her use that many times. You can use your channel divinity to create an illusory duplicate of yourself. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 use of your channel divinity to teleport to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see, and you create a perfect visual illusion of yourself in the space you left. The illusion lasts for 1 minute, but it ends early if you have the incapacitated condition or dismiss it as a bonus action. While the illusion persists, you gain the following benefits. You can cast spells as though you were in the illusion space, but you must use your own senses. Distract. When both you and your illusion are within 5 feet of a creature that can see the illusion, you have advantage on attack rolls against that creature, given how distracting the illusion is to the target. And move. As a bonus action, you can move the illusion up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see that is within 120 feet of yourself. And you can then teleport, swapping places with the illusion. As a bonus action. Alright. Because that's interesting, because I think the older version you could actually make your own attacks through the illusion. Very similar to how an Echo Knight, for those that might be familiar with the Echo Knight from called the Netherdeep and Wildmount. Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Alright, if you cast a spell of Illusion School for level 6 Trickster's Magic, if you cast a spell of Illusion School using a spell slot, you can change the spell's casting time to a bonus action for this casting, provided the spell's casting time is normally an action. Use this feature a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. That's interesting, and I'm not meaning this to sound insulting or anything like that, but taking away the ability, taking another class's ability and giving it to another class for some purpose. Like, for example, that's one of the things of the Quicken spell from the Sorcerer. Using Sorcerer points is for you to allow you to take a spell that normally casts an action and turn it into a bonus action. And that kind of, at least my first reaction, initial reaction, takes away basically borrowing something from the a class feature basically from the Sorcerer. But I don't know. All right, improved duplicity, the illusion of your powerful when you create it. You can teleport up to 120 feet rather than 30 feet. When you move it, you can move up to 60 feet instead of 30. In addition, when your allies make attack rolls against a creature within 5 feet of the illusion, the attack rolls have advantage. Finally, when the illusion ends, you or a creature of your choice within 5 feet of it regains a number of hit points equal to your cleric level. Not sure how that fits in. I mean, I know they're a cleric, but I'm not sure how that fits into the improved duplicity. Or like the trickery domain. All right, war domain. Updates. I can definitely see, now this is something that very different from the trickster domain, taking the trickster's magic and taking something from the sorcerer. I do note here that it says that the war priest could use the mastery property of a weapon. That, to me, just has a feeling of being a little bit different because the war priest is very, taking on a lot of the aspects that the warriors group would do as well, whereas the trickery domain, other than just that one ability, taking it from the sorcerer, doesn't have anything else really to do with the sorcerer. So that's kind of a difference. I don't want to make it sound like I'm being hypocritical, but it's two different types of taking certain things from one class and adding it to another just because they don't necessarily have something for that 6th level ability, versus taking something that like a war priest and a warrior, a fighter, allowing them to have a little bit of that ability to use the mastery property of a weapon is different, at least from my viewpoint. All right, so we're gonna have to check this out here because used to, with the war domain, as a bonus action, you could take an extra attack every turn. And now it looks like they're changing that to having to recharge. Like maybe you have so many, I think it was so many uses of that bonus action there. So it might have been very similar. It's interesting that it doesn't have to be paired with the attack action anymore. I'm not sure, like I said, again, these are all initial reactions, but I'm not sure that allowing a bonus attack to be paired with the attack action anymore. The reason I'm saying this is just initial, and I'll have to, of course, look through and see how they work out. And have to obviously go through and read the wording on, because I heard there was a big change in the rogue in this one as well, to have to look at how sneak attack works, because if you're playing a character that is a war priest and a rogue, and the rogue has their sneak attack and it's once a turn, then what they can do as their action is they can ready an action to attack with this trigger for the attack, and then turn around and use their bonus action to attack on their turn and get their sneak attack, and then turn around and when their trigger goes off on someone else's turn, like I'm going to attack right after the fighter attacks. So when the fighter does finish with his attack action, then your ready action goes off, you get to attack again and have the potential of getting your sneak attack off also, which is why rogues in normal 5th edition with like a scimitar speed are really cool, because they can do that as it is. Protect allies. Guys, strike else you benefit yourself or another creature. Triggered by missing. Okay, that's pretty cool. Avatar battle, because it's the 17th. I completely understand why it would be all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, and not just non-magical. All right, spells, domain, divine favor, magic weapon, shield of faith, and spiritual weapon. Now, giving the spirit guardians to me, like war domain, I would be looking more for damaging. I would think more damaging spells than protection spells, as they do have, I believe, a protection domain. I'm not sure. Again, still run so many different editions of D&D. It's kind of gets jumbled up sometimes. But like, I could see spiritual weapon, could see magical weapon, could see divine favor. Those gives them bonuses to the attack. The shield of faith, you could probably let that slide because of the fact that it is bolstering their AC. I mean, you could use it on other people, but I'm not sure about the spirit guardians for the 5th level spell. There might have been something different they could do there. I could see freedom of movement lets them get through. Stone skin allows them to make their AC. They also really need to improve the wording for stone skin and what it does. I hardly ever see any players, and I'm serious. I DM for at least every month, let's say 30, close to 40 different players, and they're rotating through every month for just the weekends. That doesn't include client games and other stuff like that. So I don't think I've once even this year seen someone cast Stone Skin. Okay, War Priest. Training with weapons allows you to use the mastery property of one kind of simple or martial weapon with which you have proficiency. When you finish a long rest, you can change that kind of weapon you choose to another eligible kind. Fair enough. In addition, you can make one weapon attack as a bonus action. You can use this bonus action 100 times equal to your wisdom modifier. Again, we talked about consistency. Some of them's proficiency bonus, some of them's their ability score modifier. When your creature within 30 feet of you misses an attack, you can use your reaction to expend one use for channel divinity and give that roll a plus 10 bonus, potentially causing it to hit. That I can dig. Completely dig that. And that is cool. I like it. But it could have more, because some of these other 17th level abilities are way more powerful than just giving them resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. I mean, it is all the time. It's like you have a, I don't know, a partial potion of invulnerability on yourself. It doesn't make you resistant to anything else. I mean, obviously, it's all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. It just seems like there could be maybe a little bit extra there. I don't know. All right. Thank you for the follow, Reese. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, can you tell me what that material component is for the stone skin? I can't remember it off the top of my head. That's why I always tell DMs too, don't feel like you have to know all of the rules. That's what the whole table's for. Everyone's a player at the table. They can help you out. Especially the longer you DM, the more additions you DM, it becomes a lot of stuff to keep in your memory. How much is the material component for stone skin? Speaking of classes, the 100 gold piece for an hour. Oof. And it consumes the material component, doesn't it? Speaking of a class that I usually associate Stone Skin with, is the Druid. So let's see what they've done with the Druid, since we did see the Druid in the earlier Honest Arcana playtest material. Alright, updates. Channel Nature has been cut in favor of restoring Wild Shape as second level. Also make sure that you always have Speak with Animals prepared. There's a new first level feature which lets you improve your armor and weapon proficiencies or your spell casting. Wild Shape is returned to second level. The feature is returned using beast stat blocks and has new rules for how you interact with those stat blocks. In addition, using Wild Shape is now a bonus action for all druids. Swim speeds are available from the beginning. To be honest, I really actually kind of liked the way that they had it set up with the Wild Shape in the previous one, where you chose, like, you got the beast of the land, the beast of the water, the beast of the sea, whatever, the beast of the air, the different ones, and you just used a generic stat block for them. I like that a lot better than, the whole having as a player to keep track of what beasts you come in contact with in order to be able to shapeshift into use your Wild Shape in one of those. It's interesting that they're doing bonus action for all druids when that was specifically a Circle of the Moon bonus, kind of like the whole kind of idea of like werewolves and things like that, the moon being able to affect, being able to transform faster. Interesting. While Resurgence moved from 15th level to 5th level, been redesigned. All shares a new 7th level feature, allowing druids to increase the effectiveness of their cantrips with their attacks with weapons and Wild Shape. With Nature, new 9th level feature, improved Elemental Fury, a new feature. And again, it's we did mention last week where they've changed the capstones and switched them back now, and they're changing the epic boon feats to something else instead of the class level progression. Again, like I was talking about earlier, consistency. Not only consistency in their wording, but consistency in leveling and things like that. Like, for example, if you want to create anything homebrew in 5th edition, it's probably one of the easiest editions to create homebrew material that when you're finished creating it, it's already balanced as much as 5th edition is balanced, especially, like I said in previous streams, 5th edition is extremely balanced up to just the start of tier 3, and then middle of tier 3 up to tier 4 definitely becomes way unbalanced, not play tested obviously as much, since it's widely known that most campaigns that people play usually end up kind of finishing up around mid to late tier 2 anyway. But the whole consistency of every class gets something at this level, every class gets something at this level, instead of changing all these different levels around, and then even with your subclasses, they should have specific levels where you gain certain things. So, like, what I was meaning is, like, say I wanted to create a new cantrip. You can just simply take the wording of certain things and change them around to be very similar. When you're wanting to create your own class, you know what levels they're going to, subclass, I should say, you know what levels they're going to get things at. And you can go through and look at all the myriad of other subclasses and see the balance in there and create something similar for that subclass in that position. I actually am working on a Draconic class, subclasses. They have like 3, I think, Draconic subclasses. They have the Monk, they have obviously the Sorcerer, and they have the Ranger. And I've been going through and making Draconic subclasses for all of the other classes. That way, if you want to play a campaign based around Fizban's Treasury of Dragons and all of that, you would have access to those subclasses for the other characters. And they come out pretty much without playtesting, almost already balanced from the standard setup of every class getting something, like the normal class getting something at each level, at certain levels, have that standard across the board, and then on your subclasses, you get something at these particular levels, and that's standard across the board for all subclasses. And using, like I said, the same consistent wording of, as we mentioned last week, the whole thing of when a spell appears and then at the end of the turn, or when a creature starts their turn or enters the area for the first time. Those are two separate wordings, which are fine, that apply to this different area of effect spells. And they need to try to develop that same type of wording for certain abilities, like, oh, you get this one depending on your wisdom or your ability score modifier. You get this with your proficiency bonus. You get this because of your level or whatever. Find a way to get all of those streamlined. That way, if they want to, because they're wanting to streamline it, fix it for newer players. That's something that really would be benefit from looking into trying to do it that way. All right, the druid. So D8 hit points, intelligence, wisdom. I also like to see them change their skills around. Your primary stat is wisdom, but a lot of your skills that you want to become proficient in use intelligence. Where I think the druid more as the idea of like a wisdom, for me at least, would be more like a wisdom and a constitution, or maybe wisdom and dexterity or something. I don't know, that's just me though. Everyone has their own opinions. Skill arcana, animal handling, insight, medicine, nature, perception, religion, and survival. Herbalism kit, light armor, shields. Still not sure about the whole taking away medium armor. Interesting. It was always awesome as a druid to find some dragon scale armor. Dragon scale armor. Alright, druidic. I do like that whole concept of adding, you always have speak with animals spells prepared. Like, I was mentioning earlier about, borrowing that the trickster magic's ability from sorcerers, but it's kind of like when I was talking about the warlocks, how they kind of messed warlocks over by taking their magical arcanum and making it a invocation instead of as a class ability, because now they would have to literally spend every feat picking up their magical arcanum, and not being able to use their invocation, or using every invocation to pick up those magical arcanums instead of being able to pick up things like Eldritch Sight and things of that nature. But being able to allow, like, instead of, I don't think it's too powerful. Just instead of you always have Speak with Animals prepared, you can just cast Speak with Animals. A number of times, consistent wording of either your proficiency bonus or your wisdom modifier, whichever they would finally decide on using, which one, instead of breaking them up, that you could cast it without expending a spell slot a number of times, equal to whatever they finally decide on wording wise, instead of saying you just always have it prepared. You could say you always have it prepared, and you can cast Speak with Animals without expending a spell slot a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, or your wisdom modifier. After you cast Speak with Animals in this way, you don't get it back until after you have finished a long rest, something like that. So here's the Primal Order ability. No one extra cantrip from the Primal list. In addition, your mystical connection to nature gives you a bonus to your intelligence nature checks. This bonus equals your wisdom modifier. So now not only do you add your intelligence, but your wisdom to your intelligence checks. See, that's another thing where it's not consistent. What they should just say is that you become an expert. Because yes, expertise is used by bards and by rogues, but so it's not a specific to one particular class. So if they just introduce the whole term expertise as something, they could actually put those into different things. Like for example, here as a magician, instead of saying the bonus equals your wisdom modifier, you become an expert. So you just double your proficiency bonus in it instead of adding an additional way to calculate something else when there's already ways to calculate or add benefits to things. And then if you don't want that, you can go ahead and pick up medium armor. Interesting. All right, spell casting. I do love that we went back to using cantrips instead of 0-level spells. Now they changed this with, I'm hoping that they've changed this wording with all of the other classes, because it used to be whenever you finish a long rest, you could replace one of your cantrips with the others. So they must have gone through and changed it to whenever you gain a level, you can change your cantrips. Because the earlier documentation said that when you finish a long rest, you could change them. Spell slots. Wild Companion. I do like that because it was the wording from the Tasha's ability that it only lasted a number of hours equal to your druid level was a little problematic versus, because you're expending a use of wild shape or a spell slot. So that's a minimum of a first level spell or a wild shape to get the find familiar spell. So I do like that they're allowing you to keep it until you finish a long rest, which is cool. Known forms. Interesting. This should be round up. Since the round down is the normal thing, if you stay in that form for a number of hours equal to half your druid level, I don't know. So you can do it for 1 hour at second level. All right, known forms, so they bring back the chart again. And then having to deal with creature ratings and all of that stuff like that. Missed opportunity there. So you start knowing 3 forms for this feature. Chosen from the beast stat blocks that have a maximum challenge rating of 1/4 and lack the flying speed. I'm not sure if I like the idea that if they're going back to this, that they don't keep the idea that you have to encounter those beasts. Now they're just letting you pick from the charts. It's like, how would someone know to turn into a velociraptor if they've never seen one, or even seen it in a book or anything? Or a Deinonychus or something, some other type of dinosaur. Use it twice. Forget it when you finish a short rest. 1 use, okay. Okay, so you don't get the hit points of the beast anymore. You retain your hit points, hit dice, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. Class features, special traits, languages, and feats. Why would you keep your languages if the beast can't speak? Are you able to speak in there in that form now? Circle of the land, circle of the moon, circle of the sea, circle of the stars. Yeah, Circle of the Stars Druid. I don't mind players playing it. It's not that big of a deal to me. I think it could use a little bit of balancing. Fourth ability is called Improvement, Wild Resurgence. If you have no uses of wild shape left, you can give yourself one used by expending a spell slot. It seems like there's some of them are like when you roll initiative. I mean, that was interesting, but I don't know. Looks like they're getting rid of some of that in the newer playtest stuff, playtest 6. What would be really cool in this, I don't think it would be too powerful, is that you could expend a number of wild shape uses. You could spend 2 uses to create a second level spot, a second level slot. I'm hoping that they're going to give the Circle of the Moon the ability to get back all. Instead of just getting 1 back when you finish a short rest, getting all your uses back when you finish a short rest. I could see that being something that they give to the Circle of the Moon that would replace giving everyone bonus action wild shape. Elemental Fury. Extra damage. Physical improvement, commune with nature. Okay, your expression of nature itself. Commune with nature as well. Spell always prepared. Improved element of fury. Interesting. Again, very similar to what I mentioned with the cleric. It'd be better instead of changing range or anything like that to make it similar to where, hey, well, if you do damage with a cantrip that has a saving throw and they make their save, they still take half the damage. So real quick, are they going to change, I'm just thinking of this, are they going to change what, like, if your form has hands and you have a spell that has a material component and you have a focus that, allows you to cast spells without requiring a material component or without having to use a material component unless it has a cost that is consumed, this kind of, I don't know. It's weird. You should be able to do it. Like, say, for example, you have a druidic focus, and you've got it, and you've got a beast shape that does have limbs that can hold that. Wondering if that would override this ability here. 19 level ability score improvement. Then, of course, level 20 Arch Druid. Evergreen Wild Shape. Whenever you roll initiative, you have no use Wild Shape left. You gain 1 expended use of it. Wild Shape into a spell slot. Choose a number of unexpended uses of Wild Shape. Convert them to a single spell slot. With each use contributing 2 spell levels. It's interesting, but I don't think it's as powerful as some of the other capstones. And this, putting these types of things in the game is just not the same thing that it used to be, because of the fact, like in other editions, when you would age, you would gain stat bonuses and lose stat losses. They don't have that in 5th edition. There's nothing like that. The whole concept of having characters age more slowly or like potions to longevity, they need to, if they're going to put those and keep those in the game, they need to actually put something in the game that's either beneficial or detrimental, other than just life events out of Xanathars for the aging of characters and such. Well, it is the top of the hour. That it does bring us to the end of the Druid. We are on page 21. We'll start with the Druid subclasses next Wednesday evening for Tavern Talks of the Shifty Boar. We did get through 9 more pages of the PDF. That's pretty cool. We still have a lot to go. So yeah, next week we'll for Tavern Talks we'll pick this back up here on page 21, talking about the Circle of the Land Druid. Tomorrow we do have our Dungeon Delving stream from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, playing the free-to-play MMO Lord of the Rings Online. We are playing on the Landerval server. Our character has hit the level cap, so we'll be going through and working on some, perhaps maybe some more Black Book of Mordor, the epic line there, and then maybe do some more delvings and such as well. We're going to be off Friday, as I'm going to be out of town over the weekend and working on a epic adventure for Gen Con. And then we'll be back on. We will have a broadcast Sunday evening. Some of our players, our regular players, are going to be on vacation, so it might just be me on stream. We might even bring in Design Lizard if they're not busy that evening, to just chat about stuff. Design Lizard has just started becoming a DM the past like 3 years or so, and I'm going to see if he wants to come up with some questions, different things about being a DM that maybe we can go through that evening. And of course, we'll be back on Monday with our Around the Campfire stream, and we'll have our streams next week as normal. But first of all, I want to thank all of our supporters, especially our patrons from Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron or subbing here on Twitch. Again, twitch.tv/themasterofdungeons. The link to our Patreon page, as well as all of our social media accounts, you can find below in the About Us section here on Twitch. If you would, please give us a sub on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us some likes, retweets, all of that good stuff. Every sub, like, and share helps us immensely. If you want, you can also join our Master of Dungeons community Discord server, where you can help shape a caring, accepting, and inclusive community. Our merch store is available also. We have some t-shirts, some hoodies, some ball caps, glassware, things of that nature. Definitely check that out. It's linked as down below as well. And then thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the support we've gotten. We just finished up our 5th month, growing steadily, which is great. And thanks for watching. And as always, take care and happy adventuring.